340 Knoll Avenue in Overland Park, Stimulus Regenerative Orthobiologics offers treatment options that feature a high success rate, promotes faster healing, and is a non-invasive, conservative option to avoid the risks associated with surgery. They'll help you with musculoskeletal injuries and diseases, as well as various conditions that affect different parts of your body. To find out more about these cutting-edge regenerative treatments that can help you get back to feeling your best, contact 816-994-9300 for your by-appointment-only consultation, or visit www.stimulusortho.com. If pro athletes from the NFL, NHL, NBA, MLS, WNBA, and Major League Baseball can trust them, then you can too. Get relief from your chronic pain today at Stimulus Regenerative Orthobiologics.
Hi, it's Pete.
1 minute, gentlemen.
Barn Crab House in the all-new commercial center at Bally's Kansas City Casino. You love us at Arrowhead Stadium. Now come to the full game day experience as the two-time pro football champions go for a three-peat. Enjoy world-famous crab fries, mouth-watering crabs, clams, shrimp, and mussels. Handcrafted burgers, lobster pizza, and more at the commercial center right at Bally's Kansas City. All ages welcome. ChickyandPete's.com for details.
We chant Rock Chalk. We wave the wheat. We wear crimson and blue. We're proud to be a Jayhawk.
Knocked away. KU's gonna win it.
Join us this Saturday as the Jayhawks weather the storm against the Iowa State Cyclones. Our coverage begins at 1 on your home for Kansas Jayhawk football.
The Jayhawks play here. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
You're listening to the most powerful sports station in the country. Sports Radio 810, WHB Kansas City, the power of sports.
America's largest all-sports radio station presents the #1 motorsports show for over 2 decades. Track Talk, brought to you by Rod End Supply and the Power Ride Midwest Lightning Sprints. Here are the racing boys, Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jay running the show back there at Sports Radio 810 WHB. Todd running the show here for us at RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. My partner, Kirk Elliott. Kirk, World Finals happening this weekend. How about that?
We had night 3 last night.
Right.
The first night was just nothing but time trials. This at the Charlotte Motor Speedway dirt track. The World of Outlaws, World of Outlaw late models, and the Super Dirt Car Series big block modifieds.
David Gravel wrapped up the championship last night.
He did.
Yep.
He secured the title last night with a 4th place finish. Carson Macedo did all he could. He won the main event, but that was not good enough. He was too far back to try to run down David Gravel. Gravel maintained a pretty solid advantage for the last 3 months, but really Carson Macedo was a much hotter driver over the last 3 months than David Gravel was, but he was too far back to try to chase down Gravel, and Gravel secures his first ever World of Outlaw championship last night.
Well, that is a good thing, and hopefully we can get David Gravel on Monday on Mostly Motorsports.
Yeah, I haven't been able to nail that down yet. The only thing is they have the banquet on Sunday, and a lot of these guys travel on Monday, so I'm still hopeful that we can get David on the air. If he's in between places where he can get on with us on Monday's show, we'll try to make it happen. If not this Monday, the next Monday, we'll get him on.
David Gravel is now currently 78 points ahead of Carson Macedo.
And that doesn't matter.
It doesn't
anymore.
matter. It doesn't matter.
So Gravel can just go into tonight's race. He was the hot driver on Thursday night. He won Thursday night's main event and was quick qualifier. And now he can go into Saturday night show and not have to worry about a thing. I'll bet he slept like a baby last night. What do you think?
I think he did too. Bobby Pierce earns the victory last night.
He did. Now he's got to hope that Brandon Shepard finishes worse than 10th in tonight's feature event for him to overhaul Shepard for the championship. Same kind of story with Carson Macedo versus David Gravel. Bobby Pierce had the fastest race car and won the race and did all he could, but it may not be enough. We'll find out tonight. Brandon Sheppard finished in 6th place. And so that's probably going to be enough. If he gets a top 10 finish tonight, it's over. Brandon Sheppard will be the champion of the World of Outlaw late models.
Ricky Thornton picked up the win on Thursday night.
He did.
Yep.
And he got another top 5 finish last night. He's just down there having fun. Skinned both a sprint car and a late model. He didn't qualify for the feature event in the sprint car, driving for Bernie Stuchin for Indy Race Parts. But it's a tough crowd down there. What they have, 45 sprint cars down there?
They had a much bigger crowd last night than they did the night before.
And they'll have a bigger crowd tonight than they had tonight. So that's a huge grandstand at the Charlotte Motor Speedway track, by the way.
That's a big grandstand.
But a lot of people in that grandstand.
A lot of people can get in there.
So anyway, Bobby Pierce, who has been on fire all year, the reason why he's probably not the champion of the World of Outlaws this year dates back to the tire gate back in February, where he was, penalized for doping the tires that he contends never happened. But at first, there was a much stronger penalty against Pierce that they backed off of, but still it put him behind the 8 ball. But when we had Bobby Pierce on a few weeks ago, he blamed a lot of engine issues throughout the year that might have been as much a cause as the being far behind with the penalties of the tire gate. But he still won a lot of races this year. Over 35 feature wins this year for Bobby Pierce, and he got another one last night.
Hopefully we'll get Bobby Pierce on Monday.
Yeah, we'll try to. I haven't confirmed any of these drivers yet, but we'll try to get both either maybe Brandon Sheppard, who's the champion of the World of Outlaws, or will be if he gets a top 10 finish tonight, or Bobby Pierce if he's able to get past Sheppard in the points battle tonight, and we'll try to shoot for David Gravel as well. The big block modifieds also in action last night. Matt Williamson dominated the event last night in the big block modifieds, leading every lap. He and Matt Sheppard were battling it out for the championship in the Super Dirt Car Series, and looks like Matt Williamson is in pretty good shape to nail down the title because he extended his point lead on Matt Sheppard last night. So it appears that Matt Williamson is on his way to the Super Dirt Car Series championship.
Tim Fuller won the night before, didn't he?
Did.
Yep.
So last night it was Williamson, Sheppard, Demetrius Delos, Jimmy Phelps, and Alex Yankowski. Those were the top 5 in the big block modified. I enjoy watching the big block mod, Scott. I think last night was not the better of the 3 races last night. If I had to rank the entertainment value of the races last night, I would say sprint cars number 1, late models a close second, and third would be the big block modifieds in order of entertainment value last night. What are your thoughts about that? You had to compare the 3.
I'm not much of a big block modified fan, to be honest with you.
Well, we don't follow it. We don't have those races.
And to be honest with you, I think that's why they run them last, Kirk.
Well, the sprint cars were last night.
I didn't see the sprint car race last night.
You watched it this morning. What did
I
you
watched
do? You
it this
fell
morning.
asleep. I know it. You fell asleep in the chair.
No, I didn't.
Okay. They got done pretty early last night. Of course, they're on East Coast time. It seemed like it was before 10 o'clock that the whole thing was over with last night. So, anyway, congratulations to David Gravel. His first ever World of Outlaw Championship, and he'll celebrate it big time tonight, the banquet on Sunday. And after 5 straight championships for Brad Sweet, who went over to the High Limit Series and won that title, David Gravel, with the Todd Quiring number 2 Huset's Speedway sponsored car, is the newly crowned World of Outlaws champions. And we'll settle the other 2 titles tonight. The only other champion, Scott, is Ty Majeski, who wrapped up the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Championship at the Phoenix Raceway last night, dominating that race. And Ty Majeski is his first Craftsman Truck Series Championship, so congratulations to him. He's a big late model star, Scott. Remember, he won the Snowball Derby last year. Remember that?
Right.
He drives he's got a late model team out of Wisconsin. Follows a long group of drivers out of the state of Wisconsin that's done very well in pavement racing. And Ty Majeski holding up the big trophy of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series last night.
Right. David Gravel won 15 races this year.
Yeah.
How about that?
But he was not as hot a driver as Carson Macedo and Buddy Kofoid. Those two drivers they ran much better over the last 3 months of the season.
Right.
I wouldn't say much better, but they ran better than David Gravel over the last 2 or 3 months of the season. But Gravel built up such a big lead through the middle portion of the season. You remember how hot Gravel was in July, June and July?
Carson Macedo only won 12 races this year, Kurt.
Yeah. Only win? That's still pretty good.
15 versus 12, and Donnie Schatz picked up 5.
Yeah. Macedo really caught fire around Labor Day weekend time, about the same time that Buddy Kofoid started winning a bunch of races.
Buddy won 7 races this year.
And Buddy ended up as the strongest rookie of the year ever for the World of Outlaws. There's no better rookie season than what Buddy Kofoid put on the track this year for the World of Outlaws. He will finish 4th in points, but he's the strongest rookie ever in the World of Outlaws.
Buddy Kofoid picked up 7 wins. Giovanni Scelzi picked up 3 wins. Sheldon Haudenschild had a really good year. He picked up 8 wins.
He did. And towards the end of the year, Haud finished. He had a number of podium finishes over the last month of the season, especially, but he could never. I think he won 1 race through that stretch, but he had a bunch of close finishes where he almost got the win, but didn't quite. He'd still finish either 2nd or 3rd. He probably is disappointed that he didn't get more wins as well as he ran, but Sheldon had a pretty consistent season towards the end of the year
Kurt,
as well.
What do you think about Justin Peck driving the 26 car? How do you think he's been doing?
Well, you compared Zeb Wise drove that 26 car through the entire season for the High Limit series, and he struggled this year in that car. And then Justin Peck drives that car this weekend, and if you want to compare performances, you have to say Justin Peck ran better in just last night's race alone with a 3rd-place finish than we saw Zeb Wise in that car the whole year. Now, I'm not trying to downgrade Zeb Wise in any way, because you remember a year ago he won World of Outlaw race and finished up the All-Star seat when the All-Stars were in business a year ago, and finished up very strong, but he struggled in that car through the year. And Zeb Wise is a pretty quality driver, and maybe a change of scenery will do him well. And we wish Zeb Wise well, but you have to be honest and say Justin Peck's performance in last night's race alone would have to indicate that Rudines made a pretty good call of putting Justin Peck behind the wheel of that race car.
I think they made a good move right there.
Sure seems like it, doesn't it?
Yep.
So, anyway, not a whole lot of racing this weekend. World Finals, the championship weekend at Phoenix. And that's all we had to focus on this weekend, Scott. There were supposed to be some other races this weekend that got called off. The USMTS Modifieds were supposed to wrap up their season
at
this
Boot
weekend
Hill
down in Waco, and it got rained out. So their season is over, and Jim Chisholm has already been crowned the champion of the USMTS. Now, next weekend is going to be a busy weekend. You're thinking about heading down to Tulsa next weekend for the ASCS championship weekend?
The Fuzzy Fall Fling. I'm going to go down there for that.
Thursday night, they'll be at Tulsa Speedway for double features, and then Friday and Saturday at Creek County Speedway.
I might go down for all 4 nights.
There you go.
Yeah.
3 nights, isn't it?
3 nights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and we'll see if Seth Bergman can wrap up the ASCS championship next weekend. And then the USAC Midgets will be in action throughout the latter part of this month. They open up a big swing in California this coming Friday night at Placerville Speedway. They'll be at Merced, and then, of course, Turkey Night Grand Prix coming up. So we'll be focused on the midgets later on this month. But we're winding it down, as they say. So not a whole lot of racing left to go in 2024.
We've got some new cameras in the studio, Kurt.
Yeah, for those of you watching online, thanks to our good friend Steve Griswold, who was a big player in our production of the Chili Bowl when we first started working that event back some years ago. He was over at the studio to get some cameras all lined up for you.
Right.
So, thanks to Steve Griswold. So, anyway.
Hey, Kirk, Huset's is going to showcase 22 races this year.
Yeah, and there was some question, there was some rumors out there that Houston Speedway might have been talking with Flow Racing. They're a Dirt Vision racetrack, and there was some question that they were talking with Flow about the possibility of going over there, but that did not materialize. They're full-fledged.
They're World of Outlaw guys.
Yeah, they're hosting a couple of World of Outlaw events next year, including the Highbank Nationals that pays $250,000 to win. You remember it got flooded out last June, and they had to rerun that over Labor Day weekend. And next year, that'll be a World of Outlaw events again. They'll have another event over Labor Day weekend. And it appears that David Gravel will be back to try to defend his championship next year in the World of Outlaws because he drives the Todd Quiring-owned number 2 car, Houston Speedway-sponsored car, who locked up the championship last night. But yeah, Houston Speedway has been a mainstay with World Racing Group and Dirt Vision, and it will continue to be so in 2025.
The Houston's Hustle is going to pay $100,000 this year.
Yeah, they got that. That's the one that's over Labor Day weekend.
Right.
Yeah. So $250,000, which they weren't able to pay out for the Highbank Nationals last year because it got flooded out. That's back on the schedule for the 3rd week in June, and everybody hopes that they don't have a repeat of the flooding that happened this past June.
Kirk, what do you think about the Silver Dollar Nationals going up to Houston's? What do you think about that?
That would be the
I-80 race.
You know, I-80, this would be the 3rd year that the Silver Dollar Nationals will be at Houston's Speedway, but I-80 Speedway was a special place for that event. I don't think they've recaptured it the way it was at I-80 Speedway up at Houston's because I-80, with the Kosiskis running that racetrack, late model icons of their own, they built that event up to a major, I think one of the 2 or 3 top late model events in the country when they had it at I-80 Speedway.
Right.
They haven't been able to quite recapture that up at Houston Speedway, and that's only because Houston Speedway is just not known as dirt late model area. That's more known for sprint cars up there. It's a great racetrack. But I don't think it's been quite the same as it was when it was at I-80 Speedway.
That's July 16th, 17th, and 18th.
Yeah.
Right?
So, it's still a big event. You got to give them time to really build that event back up again from where it was at I-80 Speedway. I would have liked to have seen maybe at Eagle Raceway that Silver Dollar Nationals just down the road at Eagle Raceway. I would have liked to have seen it move there instead of Houston's, but that's just my own personal opinion. Maybe it's because it's closer to home. Wouldn't have to drive so far to get there. I don't know. But anyway.
Hey, it's not a very bad drive going up to Houston's.
No.
To be honest with you. It's only about 6 or 7 hours up there.
And it's a great racetrack. Houston Speedway.
It is.
I was up there for the Highbank Nationals not this past year, but a year ago.
And Jackson is not too bad either.
Yeah, and they're going to have World of Outlaw event again at Jackson Speedway. World of Outlaws announced their late model schedule this past year, but not their sprint car schedule yet, We anticipate that to come out here in the coming weeks. High Limit released its schedule last week. Scott, what are your thoughts about some changes on that schedule in the High Limit season? The big one that comes to our note right here, because we live in Kansas City, there'll be 2 dates at Lakeside, but none at I-70 Speedway. They're not going to be at I-70 Speedway next year.
Why do you think that is, Kirk?
Maybe because the plans of redoing the racetrack may the uncertainty of what that's going to look like, because I don't think that they've even started on it yet, have they?
Right.
When the making it smaller.
They haven't started on it. They're going to start on it after which is the final late model race, Kirk, out there at I-70 Speedway?
Well, it's the season's over right now, so you'd think that maybe they would get working on it right away. So, but I'm thinking maybe the uncertainty of what that's going to look like, that the folks at High Limit may take a break from I-70 this next year. I don't know, but there's a lot of new racetracks on the schedule. We talked about a week ago, or on Monday's show, that Las Vegas Motor Speedway dirt track will open up the season for the High Limit racing in March 13th and 15th next year. They're going to California to open up the season. Last year, you remember they went to Florida to open up the season. This next year will be at Las Vegas and at California, but there's a couple of dates at Lakeside next year for the High Limit Racing Series. It's on the Cup Series weekend in May, Friday, May 9th. That's just a one date this next year on Cup Series weekend, Friday, May 9th. And then they'll return in October, Saturday, October 11th at Lakeside Speedway. Saturday, October 11th.
It says 10th and 11th.
10th and 11th, 2 dates. Yeah. 2 days, Friday, October 10th, and Saturday, October 11th. You're right.
They're going back to Lake Ozark Speedway and Lucas Oil Speedway as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So Lucas Oil Speedway, and we kind of figured that would happen. I talked with Brad Sweet down at Lucas Oil Speedway. They're pretty happy with Lucas Oil Speedway. They love that place. So they're going back there. They got 2 dates at Texas Motor Speedway.
And it's really good to see that they're going to go back to Lakeside Speedway.
Yeah.
Right.
So 2 dates in October. October 10th and 11th, and then earlier in the year in May, the Cup Series weekend, May 9th, for the High Limit racing next year.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to have Hank Davis on. We did an interview with him on Monday on Mostly Motorsports, and we're going to replay that interview right now on Track Talk. It's all brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. Hank Davis up next here on Sports Radio B.
Track Talk.
Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
3 minutes.
Two things are always true.
10
all
for.
tires eventually need replacing, and all vehicles need servicing. Luckily for you, locally owned and operated, Big O Tires is an expert in all of your automotive needs. They have all the name brand tires you trust, plus services on alignments, shocks, struts, batteries, brakes, and more, all with multiple financing options to fit any budget. Visit one of their 13 area locations today, or make an appointment right now at BigOTires.com. Big O Tires, the team you trust.
Hi, we're your friends who get super excited about the holidays.
We sure are, or this isn't the ugliest holiday sweater ever.
People think we're happy because we love peppermint lattes.
Or catching snowflakes on our tongues.
But really, it's because
it's Holiday Millionaire Raffle Season!
It's your best odds to win $1 million.
That's dollars, not twinkling lights, but that would be great too.
Play the Kansas Lottery Holiday Millionaire Raffle. Get excited.
See KSLottery.com for details.
Get paid more for your tech.
This is Paul Kushner, and I'm excited to bring Paymore to my hometown, Kansas City. At Paymore, we offer cash for your old electronics, including phones, tablets, laptops, cameras, drones, video games, and consoles, and much more. We'll either buy your old electronics or we'll recycle it for you. In either case, we'll wipe your data from the devices to protect your privacy. Visit us in Overland Park on 135th Street, just west of Antioch. Paymore, the smart place to buy and sell your electronics.
CBD American Shaman, the trusted go-to source for top-quality hemp-delivered products, is introducing a groundbreaking new product. Advanced Alkaloids. Advanced Alkaloids are a plant-based supplement designed for anyone seeking natural relief from everyday stress, discomfort, or those days when you're just feeling a bit down. How do you learn more? It's simple. Stop in at your local CBD American Shaman location and ask their highly educated staff about Advanced Alkaloids and how this groundbreaking product may help you with everyday stress, discomfort, or give you a much-needed pick-me-up. Advanced Alkaloids at your local CBD American Shaman, where you always get free samples.
Mention this ad at a participating Kansas City area location to receive your free trial of Advanced Alkaloids, a $9.99 retail value. No cash value. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Must be 21 or older with valid ID to purchase.
Friday Night Lights, college game days, and of course Red Sundays are here.
30 seconds.
Goes better with football than Joe's KC Barbecue. Joe's Championship Barbecue is perfect for your tailgate or watch party. Joe's Smoked Brisket, Pulled Pork, and Burn-Ins are available by the pound and teamed up with their great size makes for a game-winning meal. Download the app and order online for easy curbside pickup at any one of their 3 metro locations in Olathe, Leawood, or the original gas station in KCK, and tell them SSJ sent you.
Kirk, we had a chance to talk to Hank Davis on Monday on Mostly Motorsports.
Hank Davis, full-time ASCS driver. We got to know him as a midget driver. He won a preliminary night at the Chili Bowl a couple of years ago, or a year ago, this past year. And he found his way into a full-time ride with Wayne Johnson's number 2C car on the ASCS Tour after Wayne was hurt and couldn't drive anymore. Remember, they had Seth Bergman in that car for a while. And then
right.
Hank Davis done very good in that car. Top 5 in points. This weekend, he's at the World Finals driving the number 17
car.
BG car.
Right.
Down there this weekend. And we spoke with Hank Davis on Monday's Mostly Motorsports show, and here's just a bit of that conversation.
Hey, man, you had a pretty good year in the ASCS. You won 3 races. Talk about those 3 races a little bit. You won 2 up at Electric City, didn't you? Right?
Yeah, we won those. My first one, we won my first 2 that weekend, yeah. And, no, honestly, I probably didn't think I was ever going to win one this year just because of how it went. But I really, honestly, all my like props go to Wayne. You know, he's really the reason we won 3 races this year, just teaching me how to be better and how to win races, and it worked out, and we got us a couple.
Hey, let me ask you a question. Are you going to be driving the 2C car again next year?
No, so the 2C car, they're going outlaw racing with Cole Macedo next year.
Oh yeah,
that was already on the plan before I even came up.
Are you a little bummed out about that?
I think, of course, just probably selfishly, yes. But I understand. I really do. And plus, like I said, they already had it. They already had this thing. That was a plan going on before I ever drove that car ever. So no, I think everything will work out and pan out the way it has to work out. And me and Wayne, it's not like we ended on bad terms. Me, Wayne, or Todd, we all still talk to today. I'm still texting Wayne right now, actually. And so there's no bad blood or nothing. It was just the way they were going before I showed up, and that's the way they're going to roll with it.
You still have 4 races to go. You got a double features at Tulsa and the Fuzzy Fall Fling at Creek County this weekend. So you still got 4 races to go on that ride, right?
Yeah. No, we still got 4 races, and so I guess hopefully four more wins. But Yeah, no, 4 more races to maybe open a few more eyes or something, and find something for next year and try to race as much as possible.
Hey, do you think you have a chance to overtake Matt Covington a little bit? He's pretty good.
Yeah, like he's just always consistent. Like even when he has a bad issue, it'll happen early in the race, but by the end of the race, he's running 10th. So you know that's hard to completely make up a bunch of ground. But we've made up quite a bit of ground here in the past few weeks. I think he might have had a misfortune one night at RPM, if I'm not mistaken, maybe. But I know we've gained some points on him, and it might take a little bit of a misfortune. Of course, I don't hope that on anyone, but if he has a misfortune or something and has to settle for maybe a 13th or something or 14th, maybe we can make up some points.
Talk about that win at Paducah. You won down there at Paducah, right?
Yeah, that's actually probably one of the coolest wins ever because that place was like bad fast. Probably one of the fastest I've ever gone, and so no, that was a pretty fun win actually.
How did you and Michael Dutcher get together? There've been several different drives. I know Scott Boguski drove that car a few times this year. Just how did you and Michael get together?
Yeah, he just kind of called me. I think some, I don't really, I guess, know who necessarily, but I think some of my friends maybe helped me out and gave me a good word and helped me out get that call. And he just gave me the call, and we were just kind of trying to work something out. We were trying to maybe go to the short track nationals or something or whatever. And there was no plan to go to Charlotte with his team. His team didn't plan to run Charlotte, but it just kind of worked out in the end where we could make something happen, and I'm super thankful that we could.
Hey, that's a bummer that the short track nationals got rained out, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, I like that place. 67 is actually really fun. Ran there one time in Wayne's car this year, and I actually thoroughly enjoyed the place. So I was actually hoping maybe that one could work out, but of course Mother Nature, I guess, just doesn't like the short track nationals being moved.
Right.
Wayne got injured in a race down there at Fort Worth. I know Seth Bergman drove that car for a while. Just how did you and Wayne get together after all of that?
Yeah, I started the year in another team, and those things just kind of fell through, and it went south over there. So then I just was looking for a ride, and I knew that Seth, I think Seth had just left the 2C car or whatever. So I just called him up and just seeing if I could, hop in a ride or something, and it worked out to where I could.
Are you pretty excited to run down there at the World Finals this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, of course, you don't know what to expect, right? I mean, you never know what could happen or anything. So I'm just kind of going down there with, the least amount of expectations as possible, and just kind of see how it plans out.
So you've not been promised anything beyond this weekend. Do you think that you might have an opportunity to stay with Michael for a little bit more permanent situation here if everything goes well? What do you think?
I'm not 100% sure, really. I mean, honestly, I don't know exactly where his head's at with it, and which direction maybe he wants to go or anything. But all I can do is just go out there and do my best get my best foot forward, and make him basically just want to keep me or something,
Right.
But yeah, no, there's no promise about tomorrow, and so we'll just go down here this week and see what we can fare out.
You say this you're going to be your first ride in a Wing 410 car. What are your expectations? What do you expect to be the biggest differences driving a 410 than what you're used to in a 360 car?
I think obviously the sheer speed and I think the close. I mean, I would assume the closing rate's got to be different, right?
Right.
I would assume that even just closing in on the corners or whatever that may be. But I think that would probably be one of the main keys I have to figure out. But I'll have 4 days to be on the track to figure it out, and hopefully I can figure it out by the end of the week.
Hey, 360 racing is a lot different than 410 racing. 410 racing, you got the power to get yourself out of trouble a little bit, don't you?
Right. Yeah, and I think a lot of times when you move up, I think that kind of can almost be like a little bit of a savior, almost, to where if you do get in a bad spot, you have a little bit more power to get you out. But at the same time, those guys are going to be difficult to race. You know, they know how to use the air to their advantage and all that. So, you know, it's not going to be, you know, I might be able to get out of some situations, but I'll probably also be able to get in just as many situations as that.
You spent a lot of time in midgets and other open wheel cars. What was the biggest transition you had to get used to when you hopped in a Wing 360 car after being so used to driving midgets and cars without wings?
Yeah, just for me personally, just the air, just the wings. I mean, you drive the car kind of with the wings and the wing stuff, and the non-wing, you kind of drive it with the right foot. I mean, that's about all. So, and it really kind of gets your both feet, whatever. But, you know, you don't really have anything to plant you over, turn you left or nothing. So you kind of just got to get used to that. When you have to follow someone, that's usually not the best thing to do, but you have to sometimes, so you got to figure it out. But yeah, no, air was definitely probably my hardest crutch.
You've had a lot of success at the Chili Bowl. You looking forward to that?
Oh yeah. We'll be back in the Matt Seymour 29S. Those guys prepared good cars, so I'm ready to come back after this year. I think this is probably the most I've raced rolling into the Chili Bowl in previous years, so I'm excited about that.
Do you feel like that's an advantage to you that you raced more this year? But and just kind of wrap your head around that a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's just personal. I don't know if it'll like make me better than everyone else. I think just personally for me, it just gives me a little bit more confidence. And usually, if you can have a little bit more confidence, usually you can maybe try to roll that into some success or whatever. But I think it'll just help me just not second guess. You know, I've been racing all year, making moves all year, so it won't make me. I think it'll help me not second guess, you know, a move that I may make, or if I hadn't raced as much, I wouldn't make because I don't know. I wouldn't trust it.
How often do you ever drive a non-wing car?
Oh yeah.
No, I don't. I really don't too often. Last year, I've driven a midget a few times this year, and I've driven a midget previous years a few times here and there, but no, nothing too like steadily or nothing like that. So that's just a testament to how good Matt and Bobby and all those guys there at Matt Seymour Racing are. They just build nice race cars and they get me comfortable.
What was that like? I think it was this past year, but the year before that, you won a preliminary night at the Chili Bowl. How big was that?
I mean, that's still probably the highlight of my career. I mean, Chili Bowl is just everything to me. I just love it. I grew up going to it. Grew up Sammy fan and all that. And it's that race is like super special to me. I think that's why no matter what, I want to win that race. If I could give back, if I could give away 12, 15 wins, I'd probably give away 12, 15 wins just for a driller.
Right.
And this is the same ride that you've been in years past? You're the same team?
Yes, correct. Yeah. Yep. I'll be in that same ride, and I guess probably till I mess that up. They're going to have to fire me before I leave.
Right.
Yeah, we're all looking forward to that. So you have to approach these next 2 weekends a lot differently. This weekend, you really have no expectations because you really don't know. You're just going to kind of feel your way through the weekend. But the following weekend, it's game on. You're going for 3 nights? You got 4 feature races at 2 different racetracks. How do you approach Tulsa Raceway and Creek County coming up, not this weekend, but the weekend after?
Well, I think you just approach it the way, we've approached every one of them all year. You know, it's just, you got to look at it as another type of race. You know, you can't look at it as we're trying to get anywhere in points. I just don't look at it that way. I just try to avoid, looking at all that stuff, because I feel like when you start thinking about that, that's when you start putting yourself in bad spots because you're just thinking too much. So I definitely just going to roll in there and hopefully have a decent run this week to have a little confidence rolling in there, and maybe roll in there and maybe gain a spot in the points, maybe not, and all what you're going to try to do is focus on winning 4 races.
Yeah, what would be a successful weekend this weekend at Charlotte?
Honestly, I guess, if you have a goal going in, I don't know how feasible that would be, right? But I want to make the features. I got 3 opportunities to make one, so surely I at least want to make probably at least for sure maybe 2. But I also know that Charlotte's one of the sneaky hard fields.
Hey, listen, Hank, we got confidence in you. We believe in you, and we think that you're going to make the A-Main at least one of those nights.
All right. Well, I appreciate you guys.
So you got three features, right? 3 Is that right? 3 nights of racing?
Correct.
And then what do? They qualify. The first night is just nothing but time trials, right?
Yeah, I think I don't really know the whole thing, the whole deal going on, but I think you're supposed to qualify like twice. I think maybe for each night of the shows. I don't know for sure. And then we race Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I think. Or I really don't know, actually. I'm kind of going into this just going to find out when I get there.
Isn't that fun? You get to go, and you really don't know what's going to happen. You're just going to kind of find out how it goes and
kind of
roll
wing
with
it. Kind of wing it a little bit, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. Just wing it. I don't know what's going to happen. I never met Michael Dutcher in person or none of that. Just going to show up, have a little fun, and then see where we can end up.
There you have it, Hank Davis joining us on Mostly Motorsports. You can listen to Mostly Motorsports every Monday starting at 12 o'clock Central Time. And Kirk?
Hank struggled just a little bit down at Charlotte. Last night he finished 10th in his heat race. Didn't even come close to I don't even know if he ran the C main. Wasn't able to get out of that. Finished 8th in the C, so 13th place finish in the B the night before. So it's been a struggle for Hank to even come close to making the A. But hey, first time in a 410 sprint car. But now he's focused in on the 360s this next weekend down at Tulsa Raceway on Thursday and Creek County Friday and Saturday, and he's been doing pretty good in the 360 car this year.
He's been doing really well. I don't know how many races he's won. Do you know? Three
races. Remember, he won 2 races at Electric City Speedway out in Montana, and he won another race at Paducah. But he's been running up towards the front in that Wayne Johnson car this year. So we wish him well this next weekend. Hank Davis, fun to talk to him. That's probably the first time we've talked to him in a couple of years. So
right,
great guy.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, Connor Wade is going to join us next here. Huh?
No, we're going to. Connor's the second.
We're going to run him in hour number 2 because it's a real long interview.
Right.
We were going to have Tim Carrick on, but Tim is actually
he's working.
He's knee deep in some mud out there.
He's knee deep in mud.
It's raining out there, so.
But we got Shadron Turner on.
That's right. Hour 2.
He won 25 B-Mod races this year.
That's not much to sneeze at, huh? 25 races?
Yeah. 25 races. Shadron Turner won.
That's insane, man. 25 races.
Can you believe that?
I mean, only a couple of the races, Tim Carrick beat him. So, I mean, there was a few that...
Did he win some down at CMS?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he won... He ran a lot of different places.
Yeah, he was all over.
He ran most of the races at Lakeside, and he split up the other time at a lot of different races this year. Ran an A-Mod on a couple occasions this year, too. So Shadron Turner, his 3rd straight year winning 25-plus races.
That's crazy, man.
I mean, so
that's nuts.
If there's somebody's not looking at this kid to move him into a big block modified or something, man. I mean, 25 races a year for the last few years, that's crazy.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back,
we'll talk. I wanted to touch on what's going on with the NASCAR, with the race manipulation and the penalties that came down
it got crazy this week.
I find that a little bit interesting. So
that truck race was kind of boring, wasn't it?
Yeah, we won't.
It was a better race than a year ago, though.
Right.
Yeah.
Last year's race, the Truck Series finale, was a disaster, I thought.
Well, yeah, it was.
Even though Ty Majeski dominated the race, it was still better than a year ago. So we'll see what happens with the Xfinity race today and the Cup Series race tomorrow. But I want to talk to you and get your thoughts about these penalties that were handed down last week for race manipulation and all the crazy things that happened in the waning laps at Martinsville last week. So there's some crew chiefs and spotters that are sitting home this weekend.
Light on the wallet.
Heavy fines and
little light on the dough this weekend.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, it's all brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. When we come back, Kirk and I are going to talk a little bit more about motorsports when we come back here on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Hey, this is Larry the Cable Guy, and you're listening to Racing Boys, and if you ain't listening to
2:30.
You're a communist. I love
10-4.
Racing Boys. Like Mater says, they make me happier than a tornado in a trailer park. Get her done.
Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
Men, do you suffer from prostate symptoms like difficulty urinating, trips to the bathroom at night, or feel a frequent need to go? I'm Dr. Travis Brown with Miva Medical. If you suffer from prostate symptoms or have been told you may need surgery for an enlarged prostate, I'd like to offer you a new, minimally invasive option to shrink your prostate and reduce or eliminate your symptoms. It's a simple, outpatient procedure covered by insurance. No stitches, no surgery, just relief. If you're interested in learning more, visit us online at miva-medical.com. That's miva-medical.com.
It's 90 seconds.
To switch to Greenlight Dispensary for unmatched first-time customer benefits and the best voted loyalty program in Missouri. Make your first order online and then pick up with their easy drive-thru or grab-and-go option. See why they were voted #1 by checking out one of Greenlight's KC area locations or at greenlightdispensary.com. It's Greenlight Dispensary, the unofficial sponsor of Kansas City's favorite football team. Look for the Greenlight Stadium flyover banners at your favorite football games this season. Check them out at greenlightdispensary.com.
Shop early, save big, all month long during Black Friday build-up at Lowe's. Right now, get select pre-lit artificial Christmas trees starting at just $59.98. Don't wait to save. Shop these deals today, in-store or online, because Lowe's knows deals. Discount taken at time of purchase while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
Hi there, Gary Joslin with Joslin.
30 seconds.
Not the class ring company. I'm a mom and pop jewelry store for 42 years. We were recently voted the gold medal #1 jewelry store in the greater Kansas City area by Ingram's Magazine. Come see us at Joslin's Jewelry, 9529 Antioch. Joslin's Jewelry, the jeweler you'll recommend to your friends and family.
Joslin's Jewelry for the best that's yet to come.
Welcome back. It's Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. It's all brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. Kirk, you want to talk a little cup racing?
Yeah, I want to talk about this race in Martinsville last week. Ryan Blaney, who lost that, you remember he lost that race the week before to Tyler Reddick, and it looked like Blaney was going to be on the outside looking in. He was so far back in the points, he had to win at Martinsville to get in, and guess what? He did it. Remember a year ago, he did the same thing. He won at Martinsville, then won the championship.
Right.
And so Ryan Blaney, after losing that race at Homestead to Tyler Reddick, wins the race at Martinsville, which he had to do to get in the playoffs. And so that left only one spot available, because you remember Joey Logano and Tyler Reddick won the two races prior to that. So that left only one spot left. And at the end of that race, William Byron was in a position by 1 point to make the playoffs. And as they're riding around in the last several laps of the race, you saw Ross Chastain and Austin Dillon side by side behind him. And you're thinking, you know, that they look like they got faster race cars, that they could get by William Byron. But they didn't. They're fellow Chevrolet drivers, and so they're running side by side, and they're blocking anybody behind them to try to have a chance to get around. And also, at the end of the race, Christopher Bell had a chance to make it in.
And he got up against the wall, didn't he?
He did, and that was after Bubba Wallace slowed down, fellow Toyota driver, slowed down, allowing Christopher Bell. He passed him and then got up into the wall coming out of turn 4. You remember 2 years ago, Ross Chastain made that big Hail Melon move. Now they've outlawed that move because it's too dangerous, they say. And Christopher Bell got up into the wall, too, and kept it in the throttle. And they penalized Christopher Bell. Had he not been penalized, he would have got in ahead of William Byron because they two were tied, and Bell would have won the tiebreaker, but they penalized Bell, so that allowed Byron to get in. And at the end of the day, NASCAR fined a whole bunch of people over race manipulation.
Well,
Ross Chastain, Austin Dillon, and Bubba Wallace were all fined 50 driver points and $100,000 apiece. In addition to that, the owners were fined $100,000 and 50 owners' points apiece. Crew chiefs Phil Sturgeon, Justin Alexander, and Booty Barker, who is Bubba Wallace's crew chief, along with their respective spotters, Brendan McReynolds, Brandon Bennett, and Freddie Kraft, were all suspended for the season finale weekend at Phoenix. None of those guys could be at Phoenix this weekend. So NASCAR comes down hard on these guys. And I'm wondering, Scott, if social media hadn't gone crazy at the end of that race, if NASCAR would have made these moves. Because the race fans and people on social media were going crazy over what was going on. It's pretty obvious what Austin Dillon and Ross Chastain were doing there. And it was further confirmed by the interview that Jeff Gordon gave at the end of that race when he said, well, I was pretty confident that those guys were not going to pass Williams.
Well, and not only...
And all the chatter that was going on the radios afterwards led NASCAR to come down hard on those three race car drivers.
Absolutely. They had to know. This is like, to me, it reminds me, it's like a jailhouse conversation. Everything's being recorded, guys. Like, everybody knows what you're saying. So and when they went back and they started listening to the tapes and putting it with what was going on the track, it was obvious that there was manipulation going on. And
they didn't come out and say there were code language up there.
Well,
but you know what to do, don't you?
Yeah, there was all these code words, and of course you're not going to. Trust me, there's guys sitting behind prison with code words telling their guys to do this, and that means to do something else. So that's what it reminded me of, because these guys were saying all this stuff, and it was like, well, that didn't even. And so when they shook Bubba's car completely down, because Bubba in the race said my tire's going down, and then in post race he said, I think I had something break. Well, they shook his car down, and they didn't find anything like that. So I agree. There was a lot of manipulation going on in that.
They've got data they can look at.
Absolutely.
They can listen in on the conversations, and they can kind of figure out. But we didn't really need all of that to know what was going on.
Yeah, you could tell.
I didn't need to hear
with your eyes.
what
You
the
could
spotters were saying. You could see it. It was pretty evident just watching the race what was going on. And you know what's going on, Scott? The manufacturers have been involved with. We've seen it in Daytona and Talladega for years, where the manufacturers get all the Chevrolet drivers together, the Toyota drivers together, and they come up with a plan when they attack these races.
And they draft
together.
It's been
going on forever, and this is all the manufacturers coordinating all this stuff. And you know what? The fans are getting pretty sick of it.
Chris Yant says Byron should be out for the Chevrolet manipulation of the in my opinion.
And he says, I'm a Chevy guy, if you read the next comment.
And he says, I'm a Chevy guy, and I'm a Chevy guy too.
But I'm in agreement with him. I think, knowing what we know now, Byron's out.
Well,
that's my opinion.
I may part company with the listener there that says Byron probably should be out. I am not sure that it's his fault. How can you blame William Byron for what's going on? He doesn't make these calls. And if you want to go further than that, how can you blame any of these drivers? They're just being told what to do. And
go back to the old point system.
When it all shakes out, I don't know if you can just really, after the fact, just take Byron out of there and put somebody else in. If you took Byron out of the Final Four, who do you put back in? Because they'd already penalized Christopher Bell.
Yeah, I got you.
So I'm not sure that would been a thing. But here's the thing that NASCAR
Kyle Larson goes in because
they're trying to send out a message that we don't want this to happen.
I say you put Kyle Larson in because he had the most wins, and you drop the other two guys out, and that's how it works. That would be my.
Kyle Larson should be in the final.
I don't know if you guys
6 wins this year All these other drivers have got 3.
Not only just 6 wins, he had poles. This guy, he was.
But you want to date back to the real reason Kyle Larson's not in?
It's because he was gone,
and he
and
didn't make it back to run Charlotte.
That's right.
And
it all boils down to that.
He didn't earn all those extra points that he would have gotten if he'd have been the regular season champion.
I know.
And that's what hurt Kyle Larson.
I don't know.
Also, what hurt Kyle Larson was the week before at Homestead when he should have just rode around at the end of the race,
Instead
but he
of
tried
pull
to
up.
make something happen at the end and spun himself out.
Yep.
That cost him valuable points there, too. So there's a couple of things that really cost Kyle. But Kyle Larson, with 6 wins, and these other guys have got 3, definitely deserves to be in the final. And the fact that Kyle Larson is not in the Final Four, that doesn't sit very well with me. But
yeah, that's not cool. I don't know if Kevin Harvick had a couple really good points, and I'll bring that up in hour number 2. But he talked about how you should be having a halfway champion, a regular season champion. These guys get automatic berths into it. The person who gets the most wins gets an automatic berth into this playoff system. It's not, you know what I'm saying? It should be. There should be some. He had some really good ideas.
Yeah, I heard his. He was saying that the top 4 finishers in the regular season points all need to get
absolutely.
Like if you're number 1 in the regular season points, you should have an automatic transfer into the Final Four.
Absolutely.
If you're number 2 in points, you should go to the Final 8, 3 in points to the Final 12, and 4 in points Final 16. That was his thought, and then that leaves the 3 races that are in those rounds. That if you win those 3 races, then you get in that. I heard that, and I thought that was a pretty good idea.
Hey,
it was scary because it made sense.
Larson had 6 wins this year, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah.
Right?
And he's not racing for the championship.
And is that crazy or not?
It is. I just I don't know. It doesn't feel right with me. So, but the other 4 drivers each have 3 wins. But William Byron's not won a race since April 7th. That's how long ago. Christopher Bell's not won a race since June. And, of course, he didn't
All
make
right,
it in.
thanks, everybody, for tuning in to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. We can't thank you enough for doing so. We hope that you enjoyed the hour that we have. Hour number 2, you can watch it on Facebook. You can watch it on YouTube. You can watch it on RacingBoys.com. For Jay back at Sports Radio 810 WHB, for Todd Surprise, for Kirk Elliott, I'm Scott Traylor saying thanks for joining us. We can't thank you enough for doing so. And it's all brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. Hour number 2, Shadron Turner's coming up, right?
And we'll hear from Connor Wade, who's the pit reporter for Dirt Vision's coverage of the World Finals.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate you. We can't thank you enough for doing so. We'll see you next week right here on Track Talk.
Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
Paid for client portrayal and
Thanks,
endorsement.
man.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertising.
Always a pleasure. We'll see you next week.
All right, brother. Have a good
Every
weekend.
case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
Yeah,
Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
So here at Specialty Sportswear in-house, we do all of the screen printing, all the embroidery. We do some vinyl. The other add specialty items like your pens, magnets, notepads, calendars. You can actually buy that, build your business to make it larger. We have the largest screen printing process and the largest embroidery anywhere around in the area. We can do stuff all the way from your school clubs to sports teams, a professional look in the office. If you can imagine it, we can do it for you.
From the circle track to the drag strip to off-road racing, Rod End Supply has been keeping their customers at the front of the field since 1989. Whether you need rod ends, tubular rods, or specialty products, Bob Douglas and his Rod End Supply staff are always ready to help you with your needs. You can visit them on the web at rodendsupply.com or call them at 800-284-2902. That's 800-284-2902. Rod End Supply, keeping you at the front of the field.
When Steve died, the outpouring of love was amazing. These dollars had come together to support us, and we realized, no, we didn't want to use them for us. We wanted to use them to help others.
The foundation has done so much for so many people. It helps any family that has somebody, whether it be a crew member or one of the drivers, that get hurt. We can help them to get through the situation.
I was injured in a non-wing sprint car accident that broke my neck and left me with a spinal cord injury. I was in the hospital 8 months, and that got really, really expensive, so having that extra help to help push me and my family forward was a big deal.
Yes, Steve's death is the reason the foundation exists, but it's Steve's life, and it's the lives of racers everywhere, is the reason we're able to do the work we do.
Race fans, the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum is open 7 days a week, year-round, for you to come in and check out all of the wonderful race cars on display in the museum, and our online store at sprintcarstuff.com is open 24 hours a day for you to check out everything that we have in stock for sprint car fans. Whether it's for a birthday, anniversary, or Christmas, sprintcarstuff.com has it all. That's at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum in Knoxville.
Go harder, faster, stronger with Rod End Supply. Whether you are running industrial, farming equipment, or a race car, Rod End Supply has the assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products that will help you lead the field in performance. Our superior design means our rod ends last longer and perform better, giving you the edge on the track and saving you money. Contact Rod End Supply or order online today at rodendsupply.com. We don't just sell them, we race them. rodendsupply.com. Serving the racing community for over 30 years.
Hey, this is Larry the Cable Guy, and you're listening to Racing Boys, and if you ain't listening to them, you get out of the country because you're a communist. I love the Racing Boys. Like Mater says, they make me happier than a tornado in a trailer park. You know, the funny thing about that is the Larry voice and the Mater voice are exactly the same. Get her done!
It's time for America's most unique motorsports show, Track Talk, brought to you by Rod End Supply and the Power Ride Midwest Lightning Sprints. Here are the Racing Boys, Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott.
Welcome back. It's Track Talk here on RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. Todd Surprise running the show for us as he does each and every week here on Sports Radio 810 WHB and RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. Can't thank him enough for doing so. He does a great job each and every week for us here every week.
Thank you, Todd, for all you do.
I appreciate that.
We got a live guest on here in a little bit. Shadron Turner, one of the hottest modified drivers in our area, will be joining us a little bit. 25 feature victories this past year. And I think he had 26 the year before and 28 the year before that. I was kidding him last night. I said, boy, you had an off year, didn't you? Had 25 feature. He laughed. But, I mean, think about that. 25-plus feature victories for 3 years in a row. And we'll talk with Shadron Turner here in just a little bit and his stellar 2024 season that has come to a conclusion.
He's got some great parents. His mom and dad are really nice folks. I've always used to talk to him before he had the beard. Now he's an adult now, but back when he was just a kid, you know, we'll have to ask him. I think he was a go-kart driver too over there at the little track back in the day. But yeah, Shadron is one of those cats who, I don't know. He seemed to always be really close, even in the first few years when he got into that car. He was always running in the top 5, you know, and he'd sneak out a win here and there. And then all of a sudden something clicked, man. And every year for the last, like you said, 3 years has just been insane. But even before that, like you said, there was something about the guy, man, that, like I told the kid, I was like, man, you just keep winning and you're going to find something really good here eventually. And I think somebody will pick this kid up if that's what he wants to do.
He likes the owner that he's with right now. Troy Witt is his team owner now. They've been together for all these runs here over the last 3 years, so he likes where he's at right now with Troy Witt. They've kind of dabbled in the A-mods a little bit too. They got a old Matt Johnson car. We saw him out at Valley Speedway for the Heartland Modified Tour event out there. So I think he's probably maybe going to run more A-mod races. They got that Heartland Modified Tour, try to tackle that a little bit more this year. But, boy, the future continues to be bright for Shadron Turner. It's going to be exciting to see what the future lies for him.
He's got a good sponsor. I'm telling you, with that 54th Street Bar and Grill, he if you meet him down the pits, and back in the day, I'm sure he still does it, but he hands out the free dip cards. You know, so you have these little cards that they give you, and when you bring them in, you can get your free dip, queso dip, or whatever it is there at the thing, and that reflects right back. They know exactly where those things are coming from. They know that's coming from that sponsor, you know, that guy. And so, I mean, like you said, man, he's taking care of his sponsors. We talked about that with Brian Brown, how big it is to work with your sponsors. This guy's been with this sponsor since I've known him. Brown and white car to this red car. Like I said, he's been with this same sponsor for a long time, so he's doing something right.
Right.
And we got Connor Wade. This is an interview coming up when we talk to him on Monday, kind of previewing the World Finals. So we'll replay some of that interview a little bit later on in the hour as well. So
when are we getting Shadron on?
He's on about another 5 minutes. We'll be calling him, and then we'll play that. We'll have him, and then we'll have that other interview. But we'll probably do this Sprint Car Hall of Fame read here in a little bit too. So
you want to do that right now, Kirk?
We can.
Whatever you want to do, Kirk. I'm not steering it. I was just making sure we don't forget. I don't want to forget that sprint car read. So,
the NASCAR Hall of Fame and Museum
Sprint Car Hall of Fame
has the sprint car giveaway coming up, and that drawing will be 2 days before Christmas this year. And it's a race-ready XXX chassis with an Al Parker 410 racing engine. This race-ready sprint car they're going to be giving away. You can sign up for this. Of course, all the proceeds go to the Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum. Go to winasprintcar.com to get registered. And if you type in the promo code HOF25, you get 25% more tickets. So what do we got? Boy, it's the holidays coming up quick now, isn't it? It's going to be, about 6 weeks they'll be drawn for this week. Christmas time is
coming up.
Us, so,
hey, have you started buying any Christmas presents yet, Kirk?
No. I'm a late one when it comes to Christmas shopping.
You do it at the last second.
I wait to the last minute.
Right.
I say to myself every year, no, I try not to do that, but that's what it always ends up. But, hey, if you're thinking about Christmas gifts too, you might check out all the things that they have in the gift shop at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum. Go to sprintcarstuff.com. They got a lot of great gift items up there in the gift shop at the Hall of Fame, which is open 7 days a week, year-round, with the exception of Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. Oh, by the way, the Corvette they're going to be giving away again next year. This beauty, Competition Yellow 2025 ZR1 Corvette with the ZTK Performance Package. And the $30,000 cash to go along with it. If you win that, they're going to be drawn for that 1 week after the Knoxville Nationals next year. Go to sprintcarhof.com to get more information on that. And the Sprint Car giveaway, National Sprint Car Hall of Fame, and
we need to buy some tickets for that sprint car, Kirk.
We'll get that done. So, anyway, that's all of what's going on up there. Talked a little bit in the first hour about the World Finals that's going on down at Charlotte Motor Speedway Dirt Track. Night 4 is tonight. Last night we had Carson Macedo win the battle, but David Gravel won the war. I think that's how Johnny Gibson put it on the broadcast last night. Macedo held off Buddy Kofoid. Justin Peck in his new Rudine number 26 ride finished third. Gravel in fourth place, and now Gravel can rest easy about going into tonight and have a fun night because he is already the World of Outlaws champion. As far as the late models are concerned, that battle is going to go right down to the wire as we have Bobby Pierce still trying to chase down Brandon Sheppard for the championship. And I think they said last night that if Bobby Pierce wins tonight and Brandon Sheppard finishes worse than 10th, then Bobby Pierce can overhaul Sheppard for that title tonight. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Sheppard is going to find a way to get into the top 10, and Pierce could still win, maybe not.
Hey,
but something tells me that I think
if he doesn't
Sheppard's
run in
gonna
the top 10, he's out.
Yeah, if Brandon Sheppard doesn't finish in the top 10, then Bobby Pierce will get the championship for the second year in a row. There's 22-point difference between Brandon Sheppard and Bobby Pierce heading in tonight. But boy, Pierce looked pretty strong last night. I didn't believe this till I heard it, but they said that that's Bobby Pierce's first win ever at the World Finals. So I know he's been to the World Finals in the past, but that's the first time he's ever won a feature victory at the World Finals. So congratulations to him.
If Pierce doesn't run in the top 10, right?
Yeah. Or no, if Brandon Sheppard
doesn't run in the top 10.
If Pierce wins again tonight, Brandon Sheppard's got to finish outside the top 10 for Pierce to overhaul Sheppard for the title. So we'll see if that happens. I'm thinking that Sheppard will find a way to finish in the top 10 and get it done, and even if Pierce does win tonight. As far as the big block modifieds, Matt Williamson carries a 30-point lead over Matt Sheppard heading into the season finale. That's after Williamson led every lap in last night's big block modified feature race last night. And so we got those three races on tap for tonight. So we'll be watching Dirt Vision for all the coverage there. So
Ricky Thornton Jr., he wins the championship with the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series, doesn't he?
He did. He of course, that's been a few weeks back at Eldora Speedway when Ricky Thornton Jr. walked out of there with $200,000 for winning the Lucas Oil Late Model Championship. So he's just playing this weekend, isn't he? RTJ. Just at Charlotte this weekend, just hanging out.
Hey, RTJ is, and Bobby Pierce, he won what race? 32 races last night? Is that 32?
I think he's up to 36, 36 or 7, I believe, is the number of races that Bobby Pierce has won this year. I mean, look at all the Crown Jewel events he won this year. He won the World 100. No, he won the Bobby Pierce won the World 100. Yeah, Bobby Pierce has 36 feature victories this year, kind of confusing him with Ricky Thornton Jr. But Bobby Pierce has had a much better season this year than Ricky Thornton Jr., even though Thornton is going to walk out with more money, the Lucas Oil Late Model Championship. I think what made Bobby Pierce, as far as number of wins, so much more than Ricky Thornton Jr. this year, Thornton was fired from his ride earlier in the year.
Right.
SSI Motorsports let him go. But yet RTJ comes back in a different ride, Kohler Motorsports, and still wins the championship. So, and he had Chris Madden as his crew chief there at the end of the year.
Are you pulling for Bobby Pierce? Or are you pulling for Brandon Sheppard?
I don't care. I like them both. Brandon Sheppard has not run.
Bobby Pierce has been on our show with us before.
He has,
right?
But I don't. You know, I like a great finish. That's what I'm rooting for. I guess if there was one guy I was rooting for last night, was Mike Marlar. You know, just I love that guy.
He ended up running fourth, didn't he?
Yeah, I thought maybe he had a chance to win the race, but he got up into the cushion there.
But he jumped the cushion right there at the end of the race.
Yeah,
he jumped the cushion and he got into the wall.
But he still finished third. So Mikey Marlar had a good. Another guy got up into the loose stuff up there was Nick Hoffman, who came into the weekend with a chance of maybe going after this championship too, and he got up into the wall. He had some problems on Thursday night too, so Nick Hoffman quickly out of the picture for any chance of winning the championship. But I thought the racetrack at Charlotte is probably better than we've seen. I thought they did a complete rework of the racetrack before the three features last night, which I thought was good.
Right.
Started to take on just a little bit of rubber during that big block modified race a little bit, but then they come out and move the tires in for the sprint car race and kind of tilled up the bottom for that sprint car race, and I think that helped it. But hats off to the track crew down there. I think they've probably done about as good a job as they ever have for this event on that racetrack down there. Don't you think?
Do you want to run that Connor Wade interview right now?
No, we've got.
No, I'm calling Shadman here in 2 more minutes.
All right.
I think we got Shadwin Turner coming up first, so we'll be getting Shadwin on the horn here and talking to him about his stellar.
I've been kind of sick
season.
this week, Kirk.
Say again.
I've been kind of sick this week.
You have. Are you going to be okay, my friend?
I'm doing okay right now.
Yeah, Monday you had the sniffles, so I'm worried about you, man.
What? Don't worry about me.
Soon.
Don't worry about me.
You and I were.
Hey, I'm pulling for Bobby Pierce to win that championship tonight.
Well, that would be exciting if he were able to get that done. He's got to hope that Brandon Sheppard has a bad night. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. That's not out of the realm of possibility. That's
only three drivers have run all 40 races with the Lucas with the World of Outlaw late models, and Brandon Sheppard has 14 wins, and Brandon Sheppard only has 3 wins. Kirk, how about that?
Yeah, that's. I mean, he started off the season strong, and but he struggled quite a bit during the year. Brandon Sheppard did, and he's going to be. He's leaving that ride that he's in, the Riggs ride, the house. They call it the factory team for Longhorn Chassis. Probably going to go back to his own family team next year. So Brandon Sheppard's no longer going to be driving the factory team car for Longhorn Chassis next year. He's out of that ride. But, yeah, I mean, Sheppard struggled quite a bit during the season. So,
right.
We got Shadman already.
Bobby Pierce, certainly, the way he's been running, Sheppard has a bad night. He can slip right in there and win the championship.
All right, let's bring on Shadwin Turner right now. He drives for
Troy Witt.
Troy Witt.
Number 56 car.
Hey, great season, Shadwin. Really good season for you.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's kind of what I was telling Kirk last night. I mean, ever since I've got hooked up driving for Troy, we've had a lot of success, and we won just a pretty good amount of races before that. But I mean, man, that's the whole Troy Witt gang. They've really stepped my program up. Not just Troy, but his wife Lori Witt and Jeff Witt, Andrew Long. I mean, just they got a really good group of people that go above and beyond for me. So
how'd you get together with these folks, Troy and Lori and the whole gang there?
Yeah, so we had been, when it was just Dad and I, we got hooked up working with Chris Jackson, and he just kind of had a little consulting deal with the Rage chassis, and we was working close with him, and Troy had just got back into racing, and we kind of known each other just from being mutual people working with Chris and whatnot, and anyways, I think Troy got to having some other people drive for him, and Dylan McCallan actually drove for him a little bit, and then I think it was Dylan was going on to do something else, and Chris had got word of that and kind of put in a word, I guess, to let me know that was happening, and so I kind of reached out to Troy, and Troy had told me that he was kind of thinking the same thing, I guess, and it just kind of worked out perfect that we just, it was just a perfect match that hopped in with them at the very end of 2021. We ran a handful of races, and then the last 3 seasons we've been full time together. So
hey,
that was when Chris started building his J2 race cars also. So it just kind of worked out perfect. We got one of them.
So they build their own frames? Is that what they do?
No, Chris Jackson does. Yes, we were just kind of working with him.
What are the highlights of this past season that stick out? 25 races, that's a lot of wins. What are 2 or 3 of the big highlights for the year for you?
I don't know, man. I mean, it's hard to choose. Like I said, we've been fortunate enough to have a lot of success, but I don't know. I mean, we ran. We got. Let's see. We picked up one of the 3,000 to win races at CMS that they have on kind of their holiday weekends, and over the past couple of years with Troy, we've been leading those races and had mechanical issues and whatnot. So it was good to kind of get some redemption on that, and couple of, like, I think we won another $3,000 to win race at I-70, and just some really cool stuff like that, and even something that's going to stick out to me for a long time, probably to all of us, but we went down to Tri-State Speedway in Oklahoma, and they had a multiple day deal going on, and it was just a preliminary night, but the way they did it, there was like 80 something cars, and they split us all up into 3 different features, and for the features we didn't qualify or nothing. We literally just walked up and grabbed a pill, and I went up and drew a 25 for the feature, and we just thought, well, we just make the best of it, and blah, blah, blah. Well, anyways, it worked out good, and we ended up making a last lap pass for the win in that deal. So that was something, I guess, starting back that far. I'd never done anything like that before, and that'll definitely be something I'll remember too. So,
hey, did you ever run up an I-35?
We went there a handful of times this year, yes. Not as much as we have in the past for whatever reason. But over my career, yeah, I've ran there a lot. And, yeah, I think this year maybe 3-4 times or so.
And Central Missouri Speedway, too. You raced at that track some, too, right?
Yeah, that was kind of, I guess, the reason we didn't go to Winston as much. We just kind of, like I was telling you, a lot of our Friday nights we spend at Lakeside, and Saturdays we've kind of bounced around more than anything. But this year, just kind of for whatever reason over the summer, we just kind of got to hitting CMS a little bit more than we had in the past. And a lot of that, they just pay really good. The competition's good. It was fun to kind of go there. And like I said, we were lucky enough to have some success. And something that actually helps too is that, I don't know if you guys know it, but I'm actually dating Tim Carrick's daughter.
Oh, yeah, I heard that.
Right.
So we kind of pull in there and park right next to Tim and, have a good time on Friday and Saturday. So
What is that like racing with Tim Carrick, the all-time champion at Lakeside Speedway?
Oh man, it's awesome because, they'd gotten rid of the weekly A mods for this year, and so Tim got into a B mod, and he got a J2 just like we have, and so this will definitely be one of the most memorable seasons I've had just for that fact of me and Tim working together. And we parked by each other for a lot of years in a row now, but for me and him kind of having the same deal going and racing together on the racetrack, we had a lot of really, really good and fun battles. Like, I think we were giving his daughters, Catherine and Julia, and everybody a heart attack a lot of times. We was battling it out there all the way down to the end. So it was a really, really fun season, just kind of duking it out with him a lot. And then, of course, everybody knows Tim. No matter which one of us won, we're going to come back and have some beers when it's all over with. So,
hey, Tim Carrick, he's won more championships than maybe anybody in the history of. I remember when he won championships back at Riverside back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Been around a long time. Now, I want the truth here. Does your girlfriend root more for you or for her dad?
Oh, she 100% roots more for Tim Carrick than me. She is a loyal Tim Carrick fan, I'll tell you that right now.
That's kind of weird,
no
isn't
shame
it?
about it either.
Your
She
girlfriend's
says,
not rooting for you out there.
Yeah, she says it was really early on in our career, and we weren't even racing together yet. Me and Tim, he was still in the A-Mod deal, but she told me, she said, I just want you to know, until my dad stops racing, he's always going to be my number one. And I was like, hey, I totally respect that. That's totally fine,
Right. Does that kind of bother you a little bit?
No, not at all. Not at all. I even found myself rooting for Tim sometimes, even when I'm in the car. If I'm sitting back a little bit, I'm like, hey, I hope Tim wins it. You know what I mean? So,
right.
I totally respect that. That's really cool that she's been that dedicated to his racing and everything, and
I don't
not
know,
only her but her whole family.
I don't know how many championships Tim has won, but it's countless. The amount of championships that he's won at Riverside, at Lakeside, and the old Lakeside Speedway, and the new Lakeside Speedway. He's won a lot of championships. I don't know how many it is.
Yeah, I think he knows, but he won't ever tell me. Same thing if I ask him about wins, he won't tell me. He'll tell me a ballpark, but I know for sure that I think last year when he won the A-Mod deal, I think that gave him enough to give him the most ever at Lakeside, and then he just went ahead and won a championship again this year. He won another one at Warrensburg too, so he got two more this year. I mean, that's one thing. There's no doubt about that. He's definitely got a lot of track championships. So
I don't think he'll ever retire either. I think he'll race till he's 90 if he lives to be that old. That's what I think.
Oh yeah. I think they're going to have a hard time prying him out of there. He won one of those races this year, kind of a bigger one at the Grant Youngins deal, and I think that's exactly what he says when he got out of his car. He was all fired up. He said, I'm going to race till I'm 90.
He said that.
Right.
That is terrific. I saw you're out there in a A-Mod at Valley Speedway here a couple of weeks ago. That's a different race car. Somebody told me that's an old Matt Johnson car. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So, like I said, I've always just kind of done the B-Mod deal, and over the last couple of years, Troy and I and their family and everybody, we've kind of all had the same mutual desire to go A-Mod racing, but it just kind of at I guess like an awkward point where a lot of the racetracks are taking away the weekly A-Mods or just not having a lot, and so it just kind of never made sense to us exactly, even though we wanted to. But this past year, they started up the Heartland Modified Tour. I think Trenton Berry and Eric Chesterman started that and got it up and going, and we kind of were able to take some time and sit back and kind of watch that and keep an eye on that. And man, they had a lot of success for their first year. They had pretty big car count at almost every race they went to, and it's kind of a regional deal where, you know, the people that have jobs and everything, it'd be easy to get to all the races. You know, I think, I don't know, from where we're at in Kansas City, I think you'd probably maybe like 4 hours or 5 hours would be the farthest you'd have to go, and it's usually just weekends only. You know, there's never like a weekday deal. So anyways, all that being said, that kind of made it, I guess, make sense if you were gonna do it. That's something that you could shoot for.
Right.
And it just kind of worked out that we were selling one of our old B mods to Matt Johnson's nephew, and so I think Troy got to talking, and Matt had a Skyrocket A mod that he wanted to sell, and we had kind of the Chisholms, Jim Chisholm and Joe Chisholm, up there in Iowa. Jim actually just won the USMTS national championship, but we'd kind of gotten to know them a little bit from racing in Iowa over the last few years, and just kind of fell into our hands perfectly, where it's like we could get a Skyrocket and kind of work with them a little bit on that. So that's what I was telling Kirk. I think we were able to run it about 6 times here at the end of the year, and we were lucky enough to get one win, a weekly show up there at Winston, and tagged on to the last weekend at the Heartland Tour. And so I think that's kind of our plans at the moment, is to try to do what we can to run the Heartland Tour and anything else that makes sense with an A-mod next year, and fill in the cracks or the off weekends with some B-mod stuff.
How many races are you going to run next year with the A-mod? It's really expensive to run the A-mods, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. There's it's definitely I would just say motor is the biggest thing from what I've gathered, that would make it harder than somebody putting a B mod together, because the B mods aren't cheap by any means at all either, but the motor for sure. But yeah, I think we're going to do everything we can to run the entire Heartland Tour schedule. Like I was telling Kirk last night, we're going to try, but I know for sure that I've got a few weddings that I'm going to have to go to next year, and just going to kind of have to see where those lie throughout the year if we can make them all. But I think that's kind of the plan, is to run their full schedule, and then you know, like if USMTS is somewhere close that we can make work, or even just, you know, like we'd talked about maybe taking it to some weekly shows at Lucas Oil or something. So I don't know exactly how many races that would put us at, but I think we usually race somewhere around 60 times a year, and I feel like we could probably build a pretty good schedule where we could run at least half of them in an A mod, and you never know, maybe even more. Like I said, we're kind of just getting our feet wet in this deal, so I'm not real sure, but we're going to try everything we can to build a pretty good A mod schedule, and there's a lot of good paying and big races for B mods as well. So we're definitely gonna.
Are you a little bummed out Are you a little bummed out that you're not going to be running the B mod as much?
I don't know. I mean, it's. I think the biggest thing that would be kind of a bummer from time to time is just hanging out with Tim and the family at Lakeside or CMS. That's really what's I guess I would miss if we weren't there. The car, I'm having a blast already with this A mod deal. I do love the B mod class as well, but I think I would be fine if everything was thriving and there was almost only A mod racing, and I think I'd be okay just going full blown A mods and whatnot. But as much as there's like I said, at a weekly level, kind of the B mod deal being the thing, you know, when you want to go show up at your local tracks and whatnot and race with guys like Tim and everything, it pretty much almost have to be in a B mod at a lot of places. So that's the one thing that definitely I want to hang on to as long as I can, being able to show up on a Friday at Lakeside if you want to, you know.
Right.
How much more fun is racing when you don't have to chase points?
I think it's a lot more fun. Really, over my career, I haven't really ever, for whatever reason, ran every race at a racetrack. We've been close before, like at Lakeside. Like I was telling you, we've ran most of the time there. We usually end up missing 2 or 3 nights to go to a bigger show somewhere or whatever. But no, I don't know. For whatever reason in my career, I've always just kind of enjoyed just picking and choosing. I think I've only ran the full schedule at a racetrack like once or twice ever. It's kind of the same thing goes for, I guess, like national points deal. Like we've been fortunate enough over the last couple of years to have our name up in the mix for the BMOD national deal. And that is 100% true on that it's just, you're a lot better off just not looking at that and going racing and having fun, you know?
You know, point racing takes the fun out of racing, doesn't it?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. This, the national points deal is just kind of tough too, the way it's all, you know, it's not just show up and go out and try to sit on the pole and win doesn't necessarily always get you the most points. And that's kind of what makes it stressful, having to watch and everything. And really that's kind of the reason why I don't want to say we haven't tried, but if you get to looking into it and thinking about it for a couple weeks or whatever, and you just end up going, you know what, let's just go back to doing what we're supposed to do, which is show up and try to do the best you can every time you're out there type of deal. So
winning races is the most important thing to you, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head with it could take the fun out of it real quick when you're worried about all the other stuff. And it's kind of one of them deals where I'm glad that we all have the same mindset that's what we're here to do, isn't it? Is to win the race. So that's definitely what I think anybody has the most fun doing. But yeah, I think we're a lot better off just showing up, trying to win. And if things work out in some sort of points race, then they do, and that's great. But if not, then, you know, we can sit back and look on all these successful seasons that we've had with the wins, and you're still calling them successful. You don't have to say championship after all that to be successful year as well. You know what I mean? So,
right.
Kelly Shryock, of course, he was a mainstay in the USMTS when it first got started. You see him more in a stock car nowadays, but he's been building race cars for a long time. How many of these Skyrocket chassis are out there right now?
Oh, man, I couldn't even tell you. I'm sure there's a bunch of them. That's what, you know, when we were taking our J2B mod up to Iowa the last couple years, you see them all around. There's still a bunch of Skyrockets up there. Like I said, the Jim and Joe Chisholm up there in Iowa, they kind of, I guess you would say they're kind of the Chris Jackson of the Skyrocket chassis. You know what I mean? They've kind of got a lot of people trying to come be on their side and work with them and whatnot. So, but it's definitely probably still a bunch of them out there, I'd imagine.
Robbie says that you won an A-Mod race at I-35 this year.
Yeah, yes, we did. I think it was probably about a month ago now. Like I said, we've just been kind of trying to get our feet wet there at the end of the year, and trying to get me more comfortable, and just doing everything we can to learn. And yeah, we were fortunate enough. One of those nights we were able to get the win at I-35. Everything just kind of worked out good, and I think that was kind of the first night where we made some adjustments and just got it to where that was kind of the first night I was like, all right, yeah, we can do this. You know, I feel like I can make some pretty consistent laps now. So yeah, we were definitely fortunate enough to do that, and only got to run at those last two races that the Heartland Series had at Valley and I-35. Those were our last two races of the year, and we were going to run it actually with the USMTS one more time here at Lakeside, and ended up getting rained out. But yeah, I mean, we got our feet wet, I would say, and don't get me wrong, we're still learning, but definitely looking forward to getting some more experience in it next year. There's no doubt about that. So,
Shadron Turner joining us. Hey, take us back to the beginning. When did you realize that you'd be a pretty good race car driver?
I don't know. I mean, I guess, let's see. Well, we raced go-karts for a long time since I was 5 over at Thunder Lake, and I don't really think I was old enough to really know about what may or may not happen to me in the big car world. But when we got into a B-Mod, my first year or so, I struggled, and it was a big learning curve from the go-kart to the big car. But, man, I would say probably about my 3rd or 4th year in, we got to working with Dustin Boney, and when he had Prime Racing, and
right.
He really kind of lined us out and taught us a lot. And I think that was kind of the moment I guess I knew that if we could put it all together, I felt like I was good enough to at least, run up in the front some with some of these guys. And I definitely wouldn't change a thing about how I started my big car career. Back then there wasn't an E-Mod or anything like that, so we jumped right into the B-Mods and just went straight out there racing with these guys like, Chad Clancy and Brad Smith and Jake Richards and some of the guys that are still racing with us
some
today.
Of the big dogs.
Yeah, that's 100% right. I think it might have took me just a little bit longer to have success than somebody might today jumping right into an E-Mod, but I think I probably learned at a much faster rate being able to follow some of them guys around. So
you got some great sponsors. You want to take care of those guys. I know a couple of those have been with you for a long time.
54th Street has been one of your great sponsors, haven't they?
Oh yeah, man. Ever since 2013, which was my 2nd year in a big car, 54th Street's been with me. So really appreciative of them. They've been a really good partner with us for a long time. So definitely can't thank them enough. And then we've got Chip Harris Heating and Cooling. That's one of my big ones as well, kind of a family friend that my dad's known for a long time. We've got Cameron Glass in Cameron, Missouri. That's actually Troy Witt's sister and nephew. They run a glass shop there. And then let's see, we've got KS Engineering. That's Kevin Stoa building the motors up there. And then I want to also give a shout out to J2 Race Cars. They've done a heck of a lot for me over the years running the B-Mod. Obviously now Skyrocket Chassis and Jim Chisholm and Joe Chisholm and them guys up there. They've done a lot for us in a short amount of time as well. We also have Premier Lubricants, which is a dealer for oil and fuel and stuff out of Atchison, Kansas. Actually just went to his wedding a couple weeks ago, so congratulations to him, and they've done a lot for us as well. Let's see. We've got my dad. I want to give a shout out to my dad's business as well. We don't have the sticker on the car, but obviously my dad's been a huge supporter of me in my career at St. Joe Auto Fabric. He does automotive upholstery and stuff out of St. Joe. Then we have some guys like PEM and Swift Springs that's helped us a lot. SP Shocks out of North Carolina, he's helped us a lot in the B-Mod stuff. So I think that's pretty much it. And then obviously Troy Witt Racing, I always mention them. We got a sticker for them on the race card. And like I said, them guys have just went absolutely above and beyond for me in my career. And I'm pretty spoiled racing for them guys. So I definitely am thankful for the opportunity they give me.
Hey, you got an IMCA win as well, didn't you? In an A-Mod?
Yeah, that was kind of my only other A-Mod experience. In 2018, we ran a IMCA modified when John Bowler first converted US 36 and Bethany over to IMCA. And those were actually the only 2 times I was talking about where I ran the full schedule somewhere. We had some pretty decent success in it, and we won the track championship at Bethany and won a handful of races. And other than that, we went back to B-Mod racing. And so yeah, I know one thing's for sure though, is getting into this open modified is definitely a a lot different world than what I was in the IMCA. And I will say that back then we were racing a little bit of an older chassis and whatnot, so hopping in this thing's definitely a lot different. But yeah, we definitely had a little bit of experience with a 4-bar car anyway. So,
well, congratulations on a great run over the last several years. This year, 25 feature victories. Great having you on, and good luck in the future. What do you do in the off season? You got a lot of people say they got more work in the off season they do during the racing season, getting ready for the next year. So you got a lot ahead of you here in the next few months, getting ready for next year.
Well, man, me personally, like I said, whenever I tell you I'm spoiled, the Wits, they pretty much do all of it for me.
I got you.
I've been completely lucky on that end of the deal. I know Troy and them, they do a lot of work throughout the off season as well. I think he just actually yesterday told me he took the Skyrocket up there to Skyrocket to have some work done and whatnot. And I definitely am lucky just being able to show up and drive most of the time. But yeah, I mean, other than that, for me personally, no, I'll be just working and hanging out and waiting for next race season. So I definitely probably be going down there to Troy and in their place at some point in time to do a little bit or whatever may need done. But I definitely got to give all credit to them. They make it all happen for sure. So hopefully it won't be too long of an off season and we can get back going here pretty quick.
Hey, we can't thank you enough for being on the show today. We can't thank you enough for all the wins that you've got this year. Man, that's a boatload of wins. 25 feature wins. That's a boatload. Hey, that's a little short of what you come up with the last couple of years, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I told Kirk. Is like, man, the number's going down, ain't it?
Right.
But
I don't think so.
No, man, yeah. I mean, it's to be able to win as much as we have the last handful of years. It's been a dream for sure. I'd always looked up to some of the guys that I've been racing with over my career that have been fortunate to do that, and so it's kind of hard to believe sometimes. But yeah, I mean, the combination that we've put together for sure, it's been really, really good. And yeah, I'm just definitely fortunate, and I mean, I really hope we can keep it going. Obviously, stepping up and running some of these A-Mod races, it probably won't be nearly as easy to rack up some of those, but definitely going to be able to look back on this little time period for sure and remember just how awesome it was. So,
Shadron, we can't thank you enough for taking the time to join us here on Track Talk. We appreciate it, and good luck to you in the A-Mod next year.
I appreciate it. Thank you guys for having me on.
All right. Congratulations.
Yep. Thank you guys.
All right.
Shadron Turner joining us now. So
nice kid, man. He's a really good, and a lot of good comments in the, a couple of people saying what a good interview, in this thing. So
do we need to get right into
Connor
Wade?
We'll knock out this Connor Wade and then wrap up this show after that.
Connor Wade is the pit reporter for Dirt Vision's coverage of the World Finals. You'll see him cast of thousands on the microphone down at Charlotte. Everybody's got their own announcers, and Connor Wade and working with Johnny Gibson for the sprint cars, and we have spoken with Connor most every week on Mostly Motorsports, and here is Connor's preview of the World Finals when we had him on last Monday.
Have you heard how many races that Brady Bacon might run with the World of Outlaws? Have you been told that yet?
Next year?
Yeah.
I haven't. I know he's focusing a lot on wing racing next year, which is great. I'm excited to see that. I hate that he's not going to do non-wing as much. I know how valuable he is to the non-wing world and how good he is at non-wing. And that I kind of grew up in the non-wing world a little bit, and so I really appreciate how good Brady is at that stuff. But I'm excited to see how well he can do, how well he has done in wing, and excited to see him kind of transition his focus to that. I think he's going to do really well. That would be my prediction. In terms of how many races he runs with us, if I had to guess, I'd like to see him at maybe 30-ish. I think that would be a good number, maybe more, but somewhere around there is kind of what I would expect for Brady. I mean, he's made the Knoxville Nationals. He's won with the series twice at Hobstadt. So I think we'll see him quite a bit, and he'll probably win a race or two next year.
Yeah, I kind of think he might be kind of like what Brian Brown does, just set up a true outlaw schedule, just go wherever, right? He's not committed to any one group, just try to set up a schedule that works for him, right?
I would like to see, and what I would like to see somebody try to do in honor of Brian Clausen and just to honor him and how much of a racer he was. I would like to see somebody try and do the 200 races in a season that Brian was planning in 2016 that he was going to hit before he passed away. Obviously, I know the Indy 500 was a part of that, but I mean the Indy 500 that's just one race. It doesn't necessarily have to be a part of that 200. But I think Brady, between doing midgets in the off season at Chili Bowl, and maybe if he were to go overseas, I don't know if he still does that or not, but and then between wing and non-wing and midgets throughout the season, Brady is certainly a guy that I think could pull off a 200 race schedule in the season. And Brian was on track to do it that year in 2016, and unfortunately passed away and wasn't able to finish it. So I would like to see somebody do that again in honor of Brian, and I think Brady would be perfect for that. So I'm not sure if he'll want to do that. I know he's got a family, and that's a lot of time away from home, and he might just want to run 70 or 80 wing races, not 200 in total. But regardless of what he does, I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, so he could do it. He's such a versatile race car driver that if anybody could pull that off, it would be Brady Bacon.
Brady Bacon would be the guy to do it.
Let's talk about Charlotte Motor Speedway Dirt Track. Starts on Wednesday. 4 big nights of racing. Am I right that get all the time trials out of the way on Wednesday? How's the format layout for the week?
Yeah, so on Wednesday, you will see qualifying only. We'll qualify for the Thursday and Friday programs, and then Saturday's heat races are lined up, I believe, based on finishes from the first 2 nights, or something like that. I'm not exactly sure how it is yet. I'll find that out tomorrow in our meetings. But how you do on Thursday and Friday affects where you start in the heat race on Saturday. So every night's important, especially qualifying. I really think that people don't talk about how good the racing is at Charlotte enough. And in the past, it hasn't always been amazing. But last year, and really the last couple of years, it was incredible. It was incredible for the sprint cars, and honestly, incredible across all 3 divisions. So I think we're going to see more of the same. They've brought in somebody different to do the track at Charlotte this year. He did it. A gentleman from Iowa that works a lot of racetracks and XR events up in that area, and I don't remember his name, but he worked it this past weekend for the World Short Track Championship at Charlotte. And the racetrack was really, really good each night. So I'm excited for it. I think that obviously there's going to be a lot of talk about the 3 champions and 3 championship battles, but honestly, I think somebody could come to Charlotte and not know a thing about the championship battles and be just as entertained by the great racing we're going to see.
Ricky Thornton Jr. going to do double duties, driving the Bernie Stugin 71 Indy Race Parts car, and he's also going to be driving his late model down there this weekend. How big is that?
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited. I honestly am going to make a pretty bold statement here. I think that I am probably more excited than anybody other than Ricky for him to do that, just because I followed Ricky on the Lucas Dirt Tour in 2022 and appreciated how good he is at his craft and late models and how good he is at his day job and stuff like that. But also, Ricky and I kind of bonded. I was new to the late model world, and he and I bonded over open wheel racing. We talked a lot of sprint cars and midgets, and he always told me about his aspirations to race sprint cars. And, it's incredible that he's doing it. So I'm really excited to see how he does. He tested at Charlotte here a couple of weeks ago. I got to go over and watch that, and I thought he looked good. I thought he got better each time he went out. So
he's a pretty good sprint car.
I hope he does well.
He's a pretty good sprint car driver as well, isn't he?
He's pretty good at everything. Yeah, almost won the Tulsa Shootout this past year.
Yeah. Yeah, what do you have, an engine go bad or something?
Yeah, I blew a motor with, I want to say 10 or less to go in stock non-wings. So it was, man, it was heartbreaking for sure.
He was pretty good at the Chili Bowl too. I mean, he was good in the midget. So let's talk about this points battle right now. David Gravel, with 3 races to go, has got a 74-point lead over Carson Macedo. Macedo has just been running as well as anybody can run if you want to try to win a points championship. The problem is David Gravel has been pretty close by Carson Macedo. So we got 3 nights to go, not only for the championship, but it's also big where all these other drivers are going to finish up at the end of the season, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I don't see a whole lot of shakeups, to be honest with you. Gravel's got it locked up, I believe. Just needs to be consistent and pretty much make every feature and not have anything disastrous happen, and he'll win it, I would say. Macedo and Schatz are pretty still in second and third. Kofoid and Selzy, then Hanschild, Schuhart, follow that. So it's pretty wrapped up. I don't see anything changing. Maybe if Sheldon struggles and Schuhart's really good, maybe Logan could get sixth. But I don't think we'll see a whole lot of shakeups. In terms of the points. But yeah, I think it's huge for David. I mean, he's tried so hard for so long. He's been second 3 years in a row. He's been on this tour 10 years, I think, ish, give or take, and he's fought hard for this championship, and he deserves it, and so does Todd Quiring and Cody Jacobs. It's really a dream pairing, honestly, a dream trio between those 3. They've proven to be the best team in sprint car racing this year, and maybe that's something that's going to carry on into future years. I think it is, personally, so couldn't be more happy for them.
Of course, we talked about this last week. Buddy Kofoid also had a tremendous last part of the season, Rookie of the Year, all wrapped up there for Buddy. Sheldon Haudenschild has had a lot of good finishes lately, still trying to pick off that win. Just who are you looking at besides those drivers that really need to finish off the season on a strong note?
I think Logan Schuhart for sure. We've talked about how it's been a struggle for them all year. Only 1 win and not even 20 top 5s and only a couple of podiums along with that. So I think they need to finish off strong. They've been working hard. I think they've been getting better. They just kind of need to put whole nights together at this point. I think they've started to qualify and make dashes a little bit more consistently. So I'd like to see Logan get a win or 2 here at Charlotte to wrap up the weekend. Or to wrap up the season, I should say. And then I'd like for Bill Baylaw to do good. Obviously it was a big undertaking for them this year to go out and run the Outlaw Tour full time, and man, they've done so good. A couple of podium finishes, some laps led, and honestly, I think Bill has exceeded maybe even his own expectations this year. A second place run at Houston's in the 100,000 win race there. I really hope Bill comes back, and honestly, nothing is set in stone there, but from the things I'm hearing, I'm actually pretty confident that Bill's actually going to come back next year, but we'll have to see what they decide to do for sure. And I'd like to see him go out, and at least with a strong run, if not with a win.
Looking ahead towards next year, we already know that Cole Macedo is going to be driving the Wayne Johnson car next year. Cole had a battle on Saturday night in the NARC series. He was trailing Justin Sanders by 3 points. That was quite a finish in the NARC series. You're going to have Cole Macedo out there on the tour next year. What do you think about that?
I'm excited to have Cole. It'll be cool to have he and Carson on the tour together. Cole's got a lot of talent. He's had some good runs this year. Was on the podium at Fremont, and excited to have Wayne Johnson back on the Outlaw Tour as well, just as a crew chief and co-owner. So that battle between Sanders and Macedo for the NARC title was fun to pay attention to this year. I tuned into their races as much as I can. Lots of times, obviously, we're a couple hours ahead of them. So several times when our races were over, either driving to the hotel or driving to the next track after a race, we would be watching NARC races. So it's been fun to see that battle kind of play out throughout the year. Obviously, those are 2 of the best drivers probably in the state of California, and they're not too far from probably being, legit contenders on the national scene as well. So congratulations to Justin Sanders and the Mitries on the NARC title, and Cole and Tommy Tarleton on a great season too.
Yeah, Sanders really, it didn't seem like he was worried about the points at the end of that race, was he? He could have stayed right where he's at. He would have won the championship. He wanted to win that race, too. I thought that was kind of cool.
He wanted to go out on top. I get it for sure.
He did. There's no doubt about it. So have you heard of any other teams that have, well, of course, we're probably pretty certain on a few of them, but have you heard of any other teams that have committed to next year?
I think you're going to hear some stuff this week. I don't want to jump out and spoil any names or teams or anything like that, just as I don't want to steal their thunder or they end up changing their minds. But I do think you're going to hear some stuff this week about drivers that are either coming back to the Tour full-time or that might be joining it. So, honestly, I don't think we'll hear of any newcomers this week. We'll probably, start to hear about, maybe guys that are joining the series around PRI around that time. But I think this week you'll hear about some drivers that are currently on the tour that are going to be back. So stay tuned to that. And hey, you never know. Maybe somebody that's either a high-limit full-timer this season or a true outlaw. Maybe they shot the world this week and say, hey, we're going to come into the Outlaw Tour full-time. So regardless whether we hear the news this week or later in the off-season, I think it'll be an interesting off-season to see what happens and who goes where.
Hey, I'm kind of sick today, just so you know.
Oh, man, I hate to hear that. It's that time of year,
Hey, before I let you go, you're going to be working with a lot of voices this week. How challenging is that when you're working? Everybody's got their own announcers, the Case late models and the Super Dirt Car Series. You got a big week this weekend, but a lot of voices on Dirt Vision this week.
That's right. Of course, John Gibson for the sprint cars, Ruben Morales for the late models, and Mike Warren all in the booth for the Mike Warren for the Super Dirt Car Series. All of them in the booth calling the races. Myself, pit reporting for sprint cars. Hannah Newhouse is pit reporting for late models. Rich Fleck is pit reporting for the Super Dirt Car Series. And then Dave Reef, our good buddy, is hosting pre-race and post-race shows. Our pre-race shows will be live at the track, and then the post-race shows will be in the Dirt Vision studio, and Dave will be on those. So a lot of voices, but we all get along. We all love, talking racing and working with each other, and we're just as good friends off the air as we are on the air. So it's going to be a fun week. It's good to see everybody. And I will mention Super Dirt Car Series. I know we're all sprint car people. Everybody on this phone's are sprint car people, and we like late models too. But the Super Dirt Car Series Big Block Modified, they've got a interesting championship battle. Matt Shepard is going for his 11th title, and Matt Williamson, who's going for his second title after finishing second to Shepard the last 3 years. They're only separated by 15 points. It's been a really unique year for them. Shepard's only got one win, but he's been consistent. Well, Williamson's got 7 wins, yet trailing by 15 points. So that's going to be a really, really fun championship battle to watch this weekend, and it'll be a part of the broadcast, whether you want to watch it or not. So if you don't mind staying tuned in, I think you'll be pretty happy with how that championship battle is going to go, too.
And the Brandon Shepard is leading the late models, too. Bobby Pierce, he's do you think he's got a shot at it?
I mean, he probably has a shot if Shepard were to have something catastrophic happen, but I think Shepard's kind of in the same boat as Gravel. Just just do your thing and don't let anything too crazy happen. But it's impressive that Pierce has gotten as close as he had after he was docked some points earlier in the year for the tire prep issues. So it's going to be a fun weekend, I think, for all 3 series.
There you have it. Connor Wade joining us on Mostly Motorsports. You can listen to Mostly Motorsports every Monday at 12 noon Central Time. And we go to about 2 o'clock, don't we, Kurt?
We do. And so we got a lot to talk about. See what happens at Charlotte Motor Speedway Dirt Track tonight with the final night of the World Finals. We already know that David Gravel is the champion, but we don't know who the other champions are yet. Brandon Shepard leading Bobby Pierce in late models, and Matt Williamson leading by 30 points over Matt Shepard in the big block modifieds. We'll talk about who's the champions are in NASCAR. Settled one championship last night. It was Ty Majeski winning the Truck Series championship. We'll see what happens in the Xfinity Series this afternoon. I think that race is like 6 o'clock our time tonight. And the Final four are going to go at it here tonight in the Xfinity Series today, and we'll see who wins that championship. Who do we have? Well, we have Austin Hill, A.J. Allmendinger, Cole Custer, and Justin Allgaier. Among those four drivers will be the Xfinity Series champion. Cup Series championship to be settled tomorrow. We've got Joey Logano, we got Tyler Reddick, Ryan Blaney, and William Byron going for that title at Phoenix tomorrow. We'll talk about all that on Monday. Mostly Motorsport, 12 noon live Central Time. Of course, we podcast it. You can get that, listen to that anywhere you get your favorite podcasts. Mostly Motorsports, and we'll continue these shows throughout the winter.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining us here on Track Talk. We appreciate every one of you that tune in each and every week to us. We can't thank you enough for doing so. And for Todd Surprise, for Kirk Elliott, I'm Scott Traylor saying thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week right here on Track Talk.
Go harder, faster, stronger with Rod End Supply. Whether you are running industrial, farming equipment, or a race car, Rod End Supply has the assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products that will help you lead the field in performance. Our superior design means our rod ends last longer and perform better, giving you the edge on the track and saving you money. Contact Rod End Supply or order online today at rodendsupply.com. We don't just sell them, we race them. rodendsupply.com. Serving the racing community for over 30 years.